complicit in our own in our own victimization, to the extent that we're not like seeing the actual darkness that's playing out, because it's so like just beyond anything we could even imagine. It's because of that the importance of that imagination for evil that I was just referencing.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it needs to be emphasized, the financial system has been it's unstable in its foundations. It's built on fraud and an illusion, and that's why this is coming down at this particular point as well. Although be it that this is all manufactured from behind the scenes, there's no real value, with all the Federal Reserve being not on a gold standard and what have you. We have all of that in the background here, so to speak. But this is a natural, for me at least, from my point of view, this is a natural way that this has to play out. This has to collapse or crumble at some point until human beings realize that no, this is not the way to go. We need to have a better system and a new system. Of course. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah. No, that's totally true. What's happening, I mean, in the realm of economics, and that's why I so recommend people studying the work, like I was mentioning before, Catherine Austin Fitts, because she's been onto this. I mean, she was like the one of the heads of HUD under Bush 1 and the Federal Housing Commissioner, and she really got insight into, the unsustainable, like how unsustainable the economy was and how it was run by criminals, and the incredible corruption that was feeding the financial system. And it was like, she calls it the tapeworm, but it's like this parasite that's just, it's just more and more. It's like a Frankensteinian monster.
Yeah.
Because one way to understand this is in the psyche. When we split off from a part of ourselves, say we split off from our shadow, or there's like a trauma, whatever the trauma is, and we split off from a part of ourselves, that split off part, that develops in a way a seemingly autonomous like will and like this life of its own. Jung calls them autonomous complexes. And it seems to be like this other being inside of our psyche that's other than who we actually are.
Yes.
And the ancients, what they call autonomous complexes, that's what they call, like, with, whether they say devils or demons. It's the same idea. And to the extent that we aren't connected through our consciousness with this split off part of ourselves, it does develop this autonomy, becomes like a parasite, like a virus, like a tapeworm, and it can destroy us. And the thing which is interesting, just to tie this together with like the archetypal, because I keep on talking about there's an archetypal dimension that's explicating itself into our world and unfolding and becoming like evident, is like just etymologically, like the word, like, so the ancients call autonomous complexes, they would say either devil or demon. Well, the word demon, the daimonic, is a word that actually, what it means is the inner voice or the guiding spirit, and it's related to the genius, to finding our calling and hearing a voice and all of those positive things. But if we don't like honor that inner voice, that like that guiding spirit of the daimon, it transforms into something negative and becomes a demon.
Right.
And the thing about the daimonic, it's a transpersonal energy, which means it's beyond just the personal. It's an archetypal energy that when it incarnates, it possesses people. It takes them over, or it possesses groups, or it possesses countries or species. And then, because that happens through the unconscious, think about any one person. When they actually get taken over by their unconscious, they become unwittingly, think of George Bush or John McCain, they unwittingly become an instrument for the daimonic in its demonic aspect, which is always perpetrates destruction because it's acted out unconsciously. So they become an actual instrument or conduit for the daimonic in its negative form to act itself out on the world stage. And that's what's playing out, to the extent that we have so many people who are supporting the current system, who are supporting whoever, McCain or Bush or whatever. They're actually unwittingly being agents of the collective psychosis that's just, continually perpetrating just violence and abuse and destruction, and is actually a suicide process that is potentially taking down our planet, but it's also a wake-up call. So encoded in the pathology, you see, and it's this that's so amazing. Encoded in the actual pathology is the solution.
Yes.
It's like showing us that. It's showing us something. It's the same thing within trauma. When you're traumatized, you have the compulsion to recreate the trauma, to repeat the trauma. That's what trauma is. That's the pathology. That's the symptom. That's the problem. But encoded in the repetition compulsion, it's actually is the solution of the very thing.
And we're repeating it in order to understand it better, right? It's like, okay, let me look at this again from another perspective or what have you. This is a way for us to process what the heck has happened to us, to process the trauma, right? To actually begin the healing process.
Right, but the thing is, you see, the thing which is so just, which makes trauma so one of a kind is that the very way we're trying to heal from it is the very thing that's creating the very thing we're trying to heal from in this endless feedback loop that's self-perpetuating in nature. But the point, so we as a species are in trauma. That's very, very clear.
Yeah.
And so we're enacting on the collective stage of the whole, on just like the whole theater of the world, we're enacting as a species the compulsion to recreate the trauma, but yet is that, like you were suggesting, encoded in our acting out the trauma, there's something that we're trying to like remember and to access so as to liberate.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the energy that's bound up in that acting out of the trauma becomes freed up for creativity and for love and for constructive activity instead of just to destroy ourselves.
Paul, I think that this is a good place here to run things up for the first segment, and then as we proceed in the next segment in our member section, we're going to tie this in a little bit more with synchronicity. This is another kind of very interesting facet to all of this. How we actually can, get hints, as it were, from the collective unconscious and try to understand things a little bit better on what's going on in the world. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about your book, of course, that is available right now, The Madness of George W. Bush, a reflection of our collective psychosis. That is out. That's available on Amazon. Are you potentially creating a new book? How's that coming along? Would you like to talk about that briefly?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yeah, I've written about, 30-something articles since my book has come out, and it's just, just a deeper kind of contemplation on the nature of the dream, but it's not focused so much on Bush. Like, with my book, he's really the dream character that I'm focusing on to show that we're dreaming and to actually, to really help to wake us up. But so, all I have to do is really kind of put together these articles in the form of a book and to edit them and integrate them, which hopefully will happen soon. And then that'll be my next book, which, hopefully will be out one of these days,
Well, very good. And mention your website again for us so people can check out some of your excellent writing that you have up there.
Thank you. Sure. Yeah. So I have all of my articles. Well, not all of them. I have a ton more that aren't up there that are still in progress. But it's awakeninthedream.com. And yeah, just really want people to study my work because I feel, and like so many people give me reflections, that it seems to be helpful, that it seems to make people feel like it was the way that I've made myself sane, or continually help to make myself feel sane in a world gone mad.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the effect it has on a lot of people. So I just really encourage people to check out the articles.
Definitely. Again, the website is Awaken in the Dream. Head on over there, check it out. Very good stuff. Paul, thank you very much for this segment. Stay with us. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back.
Great. Thank you.
More Paul Levy coming up in our member section. We're going to talk more about synchronicity. We'll break down the concept and go into how it relates to the archetypes and how we can learn to incorporate synchronicity in our lives. We're also going to talk more about dreams, the importance of dreams, the artists and the oracle, the healer, the shaman, and also some symbolism. So don't miss our excellent continuation with Paul Levy. Very important and very interesting material. My thanks to producer Fredrik Palmgren. Don't forget our live show with Michael Tessarian on Saturday the 18th at 6 p.m. Universal Time. We'll talk more with Paul Levy after the break.
sides I see. There's a place for me, and life is full of questions that keeps me alive.